Deborah Farrick has been talking to law enforcement authorities in Boston. She's on the ground as well. I assume everyone in the Boston area, indeed in Massachusetts, probably around the country, they're going to be studying these two faces very, very closely, very carefully, Deb, right now.
It's not only the faces, for example, if it's also the hats. There are details on the hats that may identify where they were purchased, or even if they were part of some event. People pick up a hat if they're at some sort of a tournament. And so investigators are going to be looking at that, trying to refine the image and trying to get some sort of a high-quality image so they can perhaps locate the individual. It's not just the faces. One of the reasons, obviously, they're letting that out is they're trying to pinpoint what area of the country they may have come from, why they ended up in Boston. Were they from Massachusetts, for example? Do those hats yield any clues? We've been told that, in fact, investigators are going to hobby shops because one of the batteries that was used in the device, for example, that's the kind of battery that's used in sort of remote control cars. It's a unique sort of battery. So we're told that investigators are looking or tracking that down. So now that they've got the pieces, what they're able to do is they're really able to throw to span out and get information piece by piece on all of the different elements. The zipper that was on the backpack, for example, the backpack itself. So again, it's not just the faces, Wolf, it's also the hats. Somebody may recognize that black hat, the signature on it, and say, oh my goodness, I have the same one. I was at a certain event. So all of that, it's all details, Wolf.
They're looking at every little detail of these videos and these still photos. Drew Griffin, you were inside that news conference, the FBI agent in charge. My suspicion is, Drew, and I wonder if you agree, that the authorities, the FBI, they clearly know more than they're sharing with the public right now, but they don't want to do anything that's going to undermine the investigation.
Absolutely, and it was quite apparent how instructive Rick Delorier was the second time around. I heard it once live and once on your show here. He was telling us, look, ignore everything else you've heard, every other picture you've seen. Focus on these two pictures, this video. This is what we want you to identify. He is not describing them by race, ethnicity, height, weight. He just wants the American public to view these pictures and find these suspects. I thought that was very telling, that trying to purify the tips maybe, but also to focus people on the tips. And one thing I want to add to what Tom Fuentes said, that not only will you recognize these people because now they have twice as many circles of family members or friends, but it also exponentially increases the chance that you would recognize them because there are two. Not that, oh, I know that guy or I know that guy, but I've seen these two guys together. That could be a potential tip that would lead maybe to their identity. But very instructive from Rick Delorier. Focus on these pictures and help us find them.
I wouldn't be surprised if the FBI is getting dozens and dozens, if not hundreds or thousands, of tips right now from citizens in the United States, perhaps around the world. Everyone stand by. We have a special guest, someone who feels closely to what's going on in Boston. The former Massachusetts governor, the former presidential candidate, Mitt Romney, is joining us from Boston right now. Hey, Governor, this must be such an emotional moment for you when you see these pictures, these videos of these two suspects identified as suspect number one, suspect number two. You spent 4 years as governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You lived in Boston, obviously. What goes through your mind?
Well, of course, what's been going through my mind over the last several days is the great tragedy that occurred here, and also the inspiration from the people that rushed to the aid of those that have been injured. I'm also proud of our law enforcement community, the fact that they've been able to single out so quickly people of this nature that appear to be, well, serious suspects. It's encouraging to see the kind of movement you've seen and to see the resilience and the resolve of the people of Boston and Massachusetts, and frankly the whole country. I mean, Boston is very much America, and I've been encouraged and delighted by the kind of response I've seen from this community and from people across the country.
When I was in Boston over the past few days, I was so impressed by how people got together. They just want to find these suspects. They didn't know if there's one or two or more, but everyone in Boston, in the area, everyone I spoke to was just so outraged by what happened. And I assume you and your family, as Bostonians, residents of Massachusetts, You just want to find these killers and bring them to justice.
No question about that. We begin the first days with trying to understand how this could possibly happen, and we mourn and we grieve for those that are so badly injured and those that have lost their lives. But we also say, who has done this? And now it appears that we're zeroing in on, well, serious suspects. And then, of course, we'll ask why. Why would people be so demented, so stunted in their intellectual capacity that they would do something so horrible? When I say intellectual capacity, I should say moral capacity. It's hard to fathom. And yet the cry for justice and for setting things right and for doing our very best to learn from this experience so that we hopefully don't have more experiences like this anywhere in this state, in the country, or around the world.
You were at that interfaith service today at the cathedral in Boston. The president spoke, and we had religious leaders speaking. How important was it for you personally, as the former governor of Massachusetts, to be there?
Well, I was honored with the other former governors to be able to be at that service, along with thousands of other people that gathered to show their respect for the religious community, for the civic community, and, of course, for the many people who've been so badly injured psychologically and physically from this tragedy. It was a coming together. I must admit, I was also very impressed with the words of the mayor, Mayor Menino, with our governor, Governor Deval Patrick, and with the president. I thought the president gave a superb address to the people of this city and the state and the nation. It was an inspiring day. The members of the religious leadership in our community also stood and spoke one by one, and it was a coming together. Look, this is a city and a nation which has proved time and again that when we face real challenges, instead of pointing fingers and getting angry and running, we come together. United we stand. We've proven it time and again, and we saw it in that cathedral today.
I know you're a religious person, Governor, and you've often over the years, in all the biographies I've read of you, the articles, you've comforted members of your own church who have gone through horrible situations. I'm reminded of that book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People, by Rabbi Harold Kushner, a bestseller. It's hard to understand how an 8-year-old little boy could be killed so brutally at the end of the Boston Marathon, or an exchange student from China, 23 years old, who was at Boston University, a graduate student, or a 28-year-old woman who just happened to be standing there. How do you explain that? When you go out and comfort people and they ask you that question, when bad things happen to good people, what do you say?
Well, you listen mostly because people who are hurting so badly want to express to you what they feel, what they're going through, and you show your sympathy and love for them. As they look for answers, the only answer I know for questions of that nature is to get on one's own knees and to pray for understanding and for comfort. I believe very deeply that we have a Creator and that He loves us and cares for us. But when He actually intervenes in the affairs of the people on this earth is something which happens only rarely. And when that happens and why that happens and who it happens to is something we don't understand. There's so much tragedy that goes on throughout the world. Starvation and disease and death and mayhem. We don't understand it. But one thing I know is that we have a God who loves us, who cares for us, who will comfort us in times of need. And He provides that comfort oftentimes by the people around us. And I'm proud of the community here in Boston, the many people who have shown their love and respect for those that have been injured. I was in the hospital today and saw a young man there who was badly injured and saw the spirit of his family and others who've come to his aid. Look, this is a time when your faith in God is enhanced by seeing the goodness of the men and women He's created.
Yeah, my own dad used to always say to me, God works in mysterious ways. We're only human beings. We can't really comprehend what God really wants, and we just have to accept that kind of a situation, even a horrible situation like this one. Did you have a chance at the Cathedral of the Holy Cross today at the interfaith service, Governor, to speak with some of the families who have suffered so terribly?
I had the chance to speak with a number of people today at the hospital and on the streets. They feel blessed that they have been able to escape with life, and in some cases with injury that is not going to impair their life going forward. And people are obviously hurting and are concerned about their future. But at the same time, they feel confidence in the kind of support they've received from their friends and from others in the community. And they recognize that this is a nation that will come together at this critical time, and that we will do what we have to do to prevent events from this occurring to the extent humanly possible. We will learn from this. I had the privilege, as you know, some years ago of helping organize the Olympic Winter Games of 2002. That was a national special security event. We wondered if we could protect all of the people and all of the places. We learned lessons from that experience. One of those lessons was that intelligence, finding the bad guys before they do bad things, is so critical to our safety. We'll learn from this experience. And I'm sure the many families and victims want to make sure that justice is served, but also that the future will be brighter and more prosperous for those who otherwise might be hurt as we learn from these experiences and do our best to prevent them from occurring.
I sense, Governor, there should be some sort of commission, some sort of panel, either in Massachusetts or national, to learn the lessons of what happened so that we won't have to endure this kind of pain down the road. And I wonder, as someone who's been a leader in Massachusetts, who helped organize the Winter Olympic Games, would you be interested in participating in such a commission, a national commission, to help us better look back, study what happened in Boston at the Boston Marathon, learn the lessons, and try to make sure that families don't have to suffer as they are right now?
Well, I'm sure that I, like other people in our country, would always respond to the call of the nation and helping prevent violence and distress of the kind we've seen here. I happen to have served for several years on the National Security, Homeland Security, rather, Advisory Council. It's in some respects almost a commission of that nature, which is comprised of governors, mayors, tribal leaders, and others who have experience in the area of Homeland Security. And we came together to talk about how events of this nature could be learning experiences for us, how we could prevent the kind of destruction which has occurred here and loss of life that's occurred here. And my guess is you're going to find the Homeland Security Advisory Council and others coming together to learn as much as they can from this. But whether it's a new commission as well, I don't know. But I do know that this is a learning opportunity, that we should learn the lessons that come from this and apply them to the extent we possibly can. But in my heart of hearts, what I understand is that it is intelligence work. And by intelligence, it's not just meaning the CIA and the FBI and wiretaps. It is also people who are watching what's going on, reporting what's going on, combining that information such that we can prevent the worst things from occurring.
And if people have information about these two suspects, they have to notify law enforcement immediately. Don't get directly involved. These are armed and dangerous individuals, according to the FBI. Governor, did you have a chance to speak with the president today at that interfaith service?
No, I did not. He was off to visit victims of the tragedy at Massachusetts General Hospital. But I was honored to be there in the presence of many of the people of our state and to hear the remarks of the president and, of course, the mayor and the governor, and also to hear from religious leaders. It was a great occasion. At the end, we sang America the Beautiful. It was a hearty rendition, almost as hearty as listening to the fans at the Bruins game last night, who erupted in singing the national anthem. We've come together in this community. We've come together in ways that other places in America and other places in the world have come together at times of tragedy. This is a great city, it's a great state, great nation, and the people have come together in a way that's been inspiring to me.
Certainly true. Words well spoken. Governor Romney, thanks very much for joining us on this occasion. Hopefully, all of us will learn from what happened so that we don't have to endure this again. Governor Mitt Romney, appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Wolf.
We're going to go back to the analysis of the photos, the video that the FBI has now released, dramatic video. Two suspects identified as suspect number one wearing a black cap, suspect number two wearing a white cap. We'll take a quick break. We'll resume the analysis, full coverage of the breaking news right after this.